I also want to show you why suicide flights, cases of suicide by pilot, are so difficult to actually prove. We've shown you 5 instances where it has largely been proved, but there are many instances where they remain a theory and have not been proved. Number one reason, very difficult for investigators to establish a motive because, you know, the person is dead. You don't have very much to actually work with. Pilots sometimes switch off their recording devices. Like for instance, in the China Eastern flight, there was no communication during that dive, so there was no, questions could not be asked or answered. There was total silence from the cockpit, which is something that has amplified the suicide theory. The probe has to delve into areas like mental illness, like what Dr. Raheja was saying, which makes it even more difficult and complicated. And the investigation becomes necessarily a multidisciplinary and ultra-detailed affair. And that's the reason why it becomes much more difficult. We're not talking about, you know, nuts and bolts and engine and flame out and, you know, mechanical failure or engine failure. Those are also complicated things, but those are, you know, known quantifiable quantities in any crash investigation. But Captain Debolina, passengers will be wondering, you know, when they see a story like this, and I once again want to say, I don't want to alarm anyone, but this story by its very nature is very disturbing. How does one, you know, what kind of systems do you think need to be in place, ma'am, you know, for pilots who might be, you know, depressed or have suicidal tendencies, as could be the case in these ones that I've quoted? Do you think there are any further systems that need to be in place? Because as Dr. Raheja said, pilots are after all humans as well, Captain Debolina.
Yes, so in our industry of aviation, we already have few very solid systems of understanding and assessing the psychometric and the psychological welfare of the pilots. So every time there is a system called the SMS, which is the safety management system, which is you can do it on your individual basis, or your peers can do it if they feel that they see some symptoms in you, in a captain or a first officer or a pilot, that there is some kind of depression or ill health or something which might cause him or her not to perform to the level that he is expected to. So reporting of these kind of mental health issues is available, and it can be in an anonymous format or it can be with the name given. And this SMS system is very prudent that we all follow it religiously in the way it is meant to be followed. Along with that, all the companies have a policy of doing a psychological and a psychometric test of all the pilots when they are recruiting the pilots, to see whether they have the mental ability to withstand the pressures, because after all, they are having the lives of hundreds of people in their hand when they are out on a flight. So that kind of strength, mental strength, is there or not, is also tested when a company recruits a pilot. But on another thought process, I personally feel that every time the world or a particular country or a particular company or a particular area faces some kind of setback, some kind of depression, whether it's like the pandemic or the Ukraine and Russia war, which is causing the near about countries having a lot of issues, or it could be a company not doing well, there should be also a regular psychological psychometric test done during these times. And it is required that there must be psychologists and counselors who on a regular basis check on the mental health and the stability of their pilots in the company.